Over the past year, where I live, I've been doing a project about a local hero, Arthur Ransom, who has a 50th anniversary next year. And I'm a poet and filmmaker, and I've concentrated on showing a forgotten contribution that he's made to literature, of bringing a very fine poet, Oscar Wilde, out of obscurity and ensuring that his work survived into the 20th century and beyond. And he's very, very closely associated with our local area. And the first set of poems I'd like to read, it only seems fair that I should choose as the subject the area that meant so much to Ransom, that is between Morecambe Bay and the Lake District. And the first poem I'm going to read is January at Arnside Shore. We strolled, spied a heron surfing. Cloud and drizzle cast grey on sky and sand. Herring gulls coasted on silver pools, rippling and restless. Slate branches beckoned with cadaver fingers to black hills beyond. Beauty ruled, a winter palette in charcoal before the rainbow of spring. Now, the second poem, which is Ransom related, it's about a children's game, because Ransom wrote poems about children playing games, pretending to be pirates. And this is another children's game which merges with reality. It's called Enemy in the Midst. The children pranced beside the pool, unchained from toil or care of rule, unthinking, brave, with laughter true. Like eagles' wings their arms spread wide, in arcs they swooped as over tide, and swift their play in boldness grew. One boy a bow with arrows made, a knife he owned with hilt of jade, and hooped salutes proclaimed him king. The soldiers wild, they heard a cry so soft at first, then footsteps nigh, and scream so shrill around them ring. The squaw, she fell before them there, with clothing slashed, dishevelled hair, and bruises black upon her back. Pursued was she, so swift as gale their knight took aim. He could not fail. Form fled with moans, no man to track. And all the courtiers flung themselves around the maid like gallant elves, to view the lady they did save. They brought her gifts from nature's fair, a crown of daisies for her hair, and berries blue from woodland cave. She sobbed, beguiled, and trembling smiled. Invaded world so saved by child. She raised her head, met azure eye. Hand pointed far to distant hills, the cougar's lair who lurks or kills, and underfoot the snakes to lie. Yet all arose, walked hand in hand, together trekked on barren land, until her father chief they saw. She spoke excited in her tongue, across the air her message hung. He smiled, then raised his hands. No more. They bowed, then left, adventure done. and marched on home their glory won, their secret locked within their hearts. No more they pranced beside the pool, nor sought the hood so spiked with tool, for future years were warriors' arts. Now, this one is about an area near, well, it's at Bolton Sands, which is near Morecambe, and about 10 years ago, just over 10 years ago, 16 cottlers drowned in a tragedy. And the very same place, on the right day, can have an Eden-esque quality that's very different from a stormy February night, which was the rescue mission from hell. And this poem is called By the Sea in Spring. Heaven visits today. Seagulls swoop. Young boys speed to and fro. One brown head, one blonde, across mud sand distant. It's a haven celestial, indeed, but for the tease of a breeze, tinged so slightly and lightly with ice, leaving only the taste of a seascape at rest. No sign today of stranded souls in gale, with unheard cries amid a tempest lured into trap, for the tide is retired, its furies dormant. Today there is only balm in the scene of serenity's song. Across the bay, hills stretch broad, clear or cloaked in mist, breathing mystery. Girls on scooters stream, dogs frisk and bounce, haphazard hound bathes in a marshland pool left by the lazing sea. Bleating lambs add counterpoint to the blackbird's note so bold. Ahead is only a vision of tan and powder blue, a family in silhouette blend in. Heaven visits today. From heaven to hell. If you go to Windermere and, well, Bowness, where Lake Windermere is, and it gets dark, it can look quite spooky. And this is what inspired this poem about a ghost. Lakeside lovers. The lilting voice is like a crooning dove, but from his touch she shrinks as bold he vows. Tonight we'll waltz beneath the moon, my love. A straining chord disturbs the mists above. Beneath the pines a spectral form now bows. His dulcet voice is like a crooning dove. With sobbing breath she donned both gown and glove, as her from sleep these honeyed words did rouse. Again we'll waltz beneath the moon, my love. He cried, for you are mine, my dear beloved, and death a bride and home for me allows. The lilting voice was like a crooning dove. On ice they glide, the skies are red as blood. He cries, fight not nor weep, unknit your brows. Again we waltz beneath the moon, my love. A crack, then flesh descends consigned to mud. He speaks as death his phantom bride endows. The lilting voice is like a crooning dove. Tonight we'll waltz beneath the moon, my love. water-based poems is about, it sort of rounds everything up. It's about Arnside at a different time of year. And it's called Arnside Beach, Revisited. Mayday greets us. Jack-in-the-Box blasts frising. Today waves like silken cloth swish, caress the arch of shore. Our eyes feast on the shimmer of sage and apple leaves, green line in nature's hand. Rough ledges form from ledges and wedges of sand, inviting. Above us a train judders over sky blue bay, heads to waiting forest, Arden-like, ethereal. As it disappears, consumed in a mystery of mauve and black, a lone gull's screech disturbs the calm of an adagio noon. Halting, we spot stones sunken like a crooked devil's fork, as though in warning of silver quicksands lurking. In a finger's click, winds pipe a carefree lay, and waves frisk, clashing and crashing, percussion on sea banks of pebble and stone, spring symphony set free, surfing to liberty, new life victorious, flying. Now there's a few more celebrity poems that if you want I can get rid of me. Yes? Yes, okay. Now the first poem is about celebrity. It's kind of a reflection on our society. Now, there's some celebrity, well, quite a considerable celebrity to be had from murder. And this poem is about, a murderer sharing his experience with murdering with his audience in a David Niven-esque kind of way. And it's called Wife in the Freezer. She's next to the fish. I silenced her. You'll think I'm cold, though not as cold as her. As you see, I'm your friendly neighbour, a nice man, placid, laid back. I'm not a gore guy, no, I honestly don't like blood, so it stopped at rigor mortis. Clean up, crisp and quick, with bleach in bucket and mop to hand after carving and cutting. It wasn't a fella that drove me, nor money nor drugs, just her, burbling, bawling and blubbing, so I gave her an Arctic Christmas like Santa and Rudolph on ice. I don't make a one pot to rid the remains and serve to our vagrants at church. She's improved now. It's quiet because she can't answer back. I've had my say-since, believe me. Let's say she's a little cut up. Last one is, well, no, there's two more actually, but okay. Well, this one is about somebody who's not used to not being taken seriously, especially in the media. Candy cane blonde, Playboy pinup who becomes a movie star, gets it all when she's in her early 20s. And Pamela Anderson type figure. And then there's the price, the bitter price for all the goods early in life. And this poem is called Rainbow Rue. Joy has flown since fortune graced my door. We worked long hours and things go wrong, though I was swept up in the magic of a silver screen dream long unforeseen. Life's sunbeam sphere called movie success. It did not see that I should scale these heights, be swept into a foreign land and find my voice among disorder. A drifter torn by sorrow and regret, the phoenix rose from ashes after all. When shipwrecked all alone and lost, love danced with me on sunset sand. Bold night in coloured crystal cloth twirled and whirled me to a diamond beat, swirled the sassy salsa called surprise. You worked the magic spell, for you enriched a frozen land, unlocked a spirit from an icy cell, stirred and resurrected ghosts beneath snow. My tears fall, you haunt me still. Illusion gone and embers warm, cold cameras caress me, kiss my limbs, while memory holds a love long lost, and Jeannie's lamp has left my gifts in gaudy show on glitzy screen. So though our paths may never cross, when last we met I had one single wish, that you should see my name. Remember me, and know where I have gone. The last one about celebrity is about a real celebrity. Stephen Fry. He's written a book on the old, less travelled, and he takes the view that it's much more difficult to write in free verse than it is in rhymed verse. And he's written a book all about how you can write in rhyme, so you can save hundreds of pounds going on a poetry course and just invest in his book for $9.99. So it's on the ode less travel. I heed the phrase sublime of Mr. Fry. Our spark within is dormant, checked by fear. This truth he states in twinkling humour eye. Our inner poet festers year on year. Yet here I see his unfamiliar mask, the teacher, showing folks the art of ode. For sure, the few in flame of fame will bask, yet all may learn that bards have tool and code. I mark the meter, work at lento pace, then savour songs of Auden, Pope, and Yeats. It leads to pencilled verse alone to face, perhaps of cruel fate or hapless dates. My verses flow unbroken, none to brook, and Mr. Fry, you've penned a priceless book.